Golden Lion for the best national participation to the exhibition goes to Korea. The jury wishes to recognize Korea with the Golden Lion for the extraordinary achievement of presenting a new and rich body of knowledge of architecture and urbanism in a highly charged political situation, using diverse modes of representation that encourage interaction. It is research in action which expands the spatial and architectural narrative into a geopolitical reality.
I would like to thank the Biennale and particularly to Rem for this opportunity. I have participated in several Venice Biennales and other such exhibitions, but this opportunity gave me a new kind of hope and energy for the genre of the exhibition and the Biennale exhibition.
We were very happy to take that position, and actually we take sort of this opportunity as to create a new reality.
We used certain elements that were unusual in that setting. We used screens and elements in this open environment. And so as an exhibition space, it was new to myself as it was coming up. We drew it up, but we never really imagined that it would be that kind of space. And the subject is, of course, very, very heavy and political, but within this airy environment, you had a kind of freedom about thinking through these things.
I think it would have to be elaborated more and developed, and hopefully this opportunity and recognition will launch that, so I could be happy to go back to being an architect.
Silver Lion for the national participation of the exhibition goes to Chile.
The jury recognizes Chile with the Silver Lion for revealing a critical chapter of the history of global circulation of modernity. Focusing on one essential element of modern architecture, a prefabricated concrete wall, it critically highlights the role of elements of architecture in different ideological and political contexts.
We're very proud for our team. We have a big research about the absorbing modernity that was led by our curators, Pedro Alonso and Hugo Palmarola, and we are very proud to be here in the best Biennale in the world with an award for our country.
We have 3 special mentions. The first one goes to Canada.
A special mention goes to Canada for Arctic adaptation, for its in-depth study of how modernity adapts to unique climatic condition and a local minority culture.
We had a 62-person team covering the entire pan-Canadian north, south, east, west, rallying around 3 parallel projects, and we've had just an amazing time working on it, and we look forward to returning the project back to Canada and hoping to create greater enlightenment also within our own country. So thank you so much.
Second special mention goes to France.
A special mention goes to France for modernity, promise or menace, for addressing the success and traumas embedded in its utopian visions of modernity.
Responding to the questions raised by Rem Koolhaas in this Biennale was a very exciting exercise, and I would say that 34 years after a Biennale in which the force of nostalgia was very overwhelming, dealing today with the stimulating views of the past, still raising issues, still bringing forward menaces, threats, negative experiences, but also extremely valid and still stimulating inputs was a great adventure. Thank you.
Third special mention goes to Russia.
The special mention goes to Russia for Fair Enough Russia's Past, Our Present, for showcasing the contemporary language of commercialization of architecture.
I think it's really important to use this opportunity to acknowledge the architects, artists, and designers of Russia. It's their experimentation and radicality and imagination that produced the commonwealth of still vital ideas that our exhibition is dedicated to and that hopefully it contributes to in some small way.
Now comes the Silver Lion for the best research project of the section Monditalia. The Silver Lion goes to Sales Oddity, Milano 2, and the Politics of Direct-to-Home TV Urbanism.
The project presents critically a fundamental aspect of modern societies, how the power of media occupies other social spaces, both physically and politically. It is based on an innovative research combining surveys and interviews with planners and residents and reappropriation of the mass media language. While the project is based on an Italian case, this issue is present in many international contexts dominated by contemporary technological and neoliberal cultures.
I think people tend to think that the situation in which we live in is not necessarily something that has to do with architecture. But we try to explain that many of the things that many of the political crises that we're living are very much related to the way the buildings in which we live are designed. And that's mainly what we were doing. And I think that was the interest also of the jury.
Assignment of 3 special mentions to research projects of the section Monditalia. Special mention goes to radical pedagogies, action, reaction, interaction.
The project illustrates how Italian architectural thinking was disseminated and impacted in different parts of the world. It highlights the emergence of new poles of architectural thinking in the current world and makes these accessible as a living archive. The research project is part of an ongoing global project that shows that knowledge is produced, developed in a networked way beyond national borders and national identities.
Our approach is also radical in the sense that it's a radical collaboration, as you can see, with all the people on the spirit of the radical experiments that we studied in the 60s and 70s. So the radical means that the distinctions between the professor and the teacher becomes blurred and another kind of possible word becomes available.
Second special mention goes to Intermundia.
Echoing the ongoing tragedy of Lampedusa, this project evokes with new documentation and through an immersive experience the reality of migration and border crossing from the south to the north as a defining element of today's European societies.
On the behalf of my team, I like to thank the jury. I like to thank Paolo Barata and Rem Koolhaas for recognizing this project, which is kind of elemental and basic and focusing on the erosion of social security of each and every one of us.
Third special mention goes to Italian limes.
The project deals with the question of borders in the European context by showing how climate change and new technologies impact on territorial delimitation in the north of Italy. It demonstrates how intra-European borders move, revealing tension between self-protection and free circulation. Thank you.
Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement goes to Phyllis Lambert, whom I invite to join us.
Phyllis, I read the motivation that I have myself written, but I don't, unfortunately, it doesn't do full justice to your qualities. Not as an architect, but as a client and custodian, Phyllis Lambert has made a huge contribution to architecture. Without her participation, one of the rare realizations of perfection on Earth, the Seagram Building in New York, would not have happened. Her creation of the Canadian Centre of Architecture in Montreal combines vision with a rare generosity to preserve crucial episodes of architecture's heritage and to study them under ideal conditions. And there are many in this room who have benefited from this generosity. Architects make architecture. Phyllis Lambert made architects. But beyond all these cliches, I want to say one more important thing. certain people simply change a field through their force and through their forcefulness, and it is not necessarily present in any detail, but it's simply the effect of a temperament, a body and an energy, and you are one of these people, and I think that is the most important contribution you made. Thank you.
This Biennale, Fundamentals, returns to architecture in a significant way. To me, it signals a renewal. It engages the real purposes of architecture, turning its back on bolstering egos. It recognizes the extent of architecture's essential, civilizing role in society. It recognizes the essence of architecture as a public concern. The present unprecedented rate of growth of cities and populations marks the heightened, unprecedented, and urgent cultural role of architecture writ large in unfolding of the world's increasingly challenging living contexts, as Rem puts it, the social and ecological conditions worldwide. The demands of research are more than ever. The need for questioning is more than ever. The need for interdisciplinary action, demanding great design and formidable talent, is needed more than ever. It is my splendid privilege to continue on this road. And in Italiano, roar!